everyone, ready for a deep dive today?
Absolutely.
We're going to be talking about building healthier cities.
Yeah. It's amazing what we can learn from kind of looking back at city planning
Mm-hmm.
and then comparing that to what modern science is telling us.
It's like city planning time travel,
It is.
which I love.
Yeah.
So we've got a stack of research here.
Yes.
We've got some planning documents.
Mm-hmm.
But let's start with this 2016 article from The Lancet.
Okay.
And, The Lancet is a really well-respected medical journal.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I think this is really interesting because when we talk about city planning, we don't always think about the health outcomes.
Right. Right.
But this article really connects those two things really strongly.
It does. Yeah.
So, imagine you were at a city planning meeting.
Okay.
What is the one big thing that this article says that you need to keep in mind?
Well, I think the one big takeaway from the Lancet article is that when you design cities around walking, cycling, public transportation, you end up with a much healthier population.
Interesting.
And there's actually, they highlight a study in Copenhagen where after they created a network of protected bike lanes, they saw a 10% drop in the risk of heart disease.
Wow, 10%.
Yeah.
That is huge.
Which massive, yeah.
So, we all know exercise is good for us, but to see it on that scale, like on a city level, really, I don't know, it just makes it much more real, I think.
Yeah, and it makes you think about all the cities that are, prioritizing cars over people.
Yeah.
And we've got these excerpts here from the Planning of the Modern City.
Okay.
And it seems like it's probably from the early 1900s when cars were still kind of a new thing.
Right.
But even then, these planners, they were obsessed with these grand boulevards and efficiency.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times they were just like plowing right through neighborhoods to do it.
And not really thinking about the long-term consequences?
No, they weren't thinking about pedestrians or cyclists.
Wow. So it's like they were so busy trying to create the future that they didn't think about what the future would actually need.
Exactly, yeah.
And speaking of the future, I thought this concept of natural experiments in the Lancet article was really interesting.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So can you talk a little bit about that? What does that even mean, a natural experiment, when we're talking about a city?
Well, it's kind of like they're looking at, how changes to the city, like adding bike lanes or green spaces, how those things actually play out in the real world.
So they're using the city as a giant research lab.
Exactly. They're collecting data, they're watching how people behave, seeing what actually works.
Interesting.
And the Lancet article mentions a few examples. One was the Active Living Research Project
Okay.
in Atlanta.
In Atlanta, okay.
Yeah.
What were they looking at?
So they were focused on how urban design affects physical activity, especially for kids.
Uh-huh.
So they were looking at where are the parks, are they close to where kids live, how walkable are the neighborhoods?
Interesting.
Yeah, and even if you put in traffic calming measures, does that affect, rates of childhood obesity?
That's fascinating. It's like they're trying to design spaces that kind of nudge people into being healthier, without even realizing it.
Exactly. It's like you're designing health into the fabric of the city.
Yeah. But collecting data is only one part of it, right? How do you actually make that translate into real change?
Right.
You can have all the data in the world, but if nobody's acting on it.
Yeah, and the Lancet really stresses how important it is for researchers and policymakers to work together.
Okay.
They have to be talking to each other.
Yeah.
And they actually mention another group in Atlanta, SmartReg.
SmartReg. I'm going to be honest with you. I have no idea what that stands for.
It's a mouthful. It's Strategies for Metropolitan Atlanta's Regional Transport and Air Quality.
Wow. That is a mouthful.
It is.
Okay, so they're obviously thinking about transportation, air quality.
Yeah, they're looking at how all of that is connected and how it affects people's health.
Okay.
And one of the things they found was that, in areas where people are really dependent on cars, you see much higher rates of respiratory illnesses, especially in kids.
Oh, wow. So how do they take that information?
Well, they've been working directly with policymakers.
Uh-huh.
They present their findings, and they really push for changes in transportation policy.
They're like what?
Well, for example, they've been advocating for more investment in public transit, making it easier for people to get around without relying on cars.
Makes sense.
Yeah, and they've been pushing for more pedestrian-friendly infrastructure, too. And they use their research to back it up, to show that these changes can have real benefits for people's health and for the economy.
So it sounds like SmartRow is actually making a difference.
They're definitely making waves, yeah.
That's great. Okay, so we've talked about how good city planning can make people healthier.
Right.
But what about when we get it wrong?
Oh, there are plenty of cautionary tales when it comes to city planning gone wrong.
Yeah.
And that's where those excerpts from The Planning of the Modern City come in.
Yeah.
We got a pretty interesting story coming up about Detroit and what can happen when you try to impose these really rigid designs on a city that's constantly changing. Buckle up, because we're about to take a little trip back in time to 1807.
1807. Okay, what's happening in 1807?
We're going to Detroit.
Okay.
1807, they were really cooking up this grand plan for the city.
Okay.
And, picture like a perfectly gridded city with these wide avenues, radiating out from the center.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was all about order, symmetry, creating the sense of grandeur.
That does sound kind of grand.
It does, right?
Except for when you've ever been to Detroit.
Yeah.
It doesn't exactly scream successful urban planning.
Yeah, no, the Detroit of today looks nothing like that early vision.
Yeah.
And part of the problem is that grid system, which, on paper, it seems efficient, right? Nice straight lines.
Right.
But it turned out to be really rigid and very difficult to adapt as the city grew and changed.
Right. It's like they were trying to impose this vision on a living, breathing thing.
Yeah.
Like, cities are constantly evolving.
Yes.
And it's like they were trying to freeze it in time.
Yeah.
And you can't do that.
No, and this tension between order and adaptability.
Right.
It's not unique to Detroit.
Okay.
The Planning of the Modern City talks about how a lot of cities in the early 20th century, they were designed with this real emphasis on grand avenues
Right.
and these geometric layouts.
Right. Very symmetrical.
Yes.
Big, impressive buildings.
Exactly. And often with very little regard for the existing landscape.
Yeah.
Or what people might actually need.
Right. It's like they were prioritizing aesthetic appeal over livability.
Right. It had to look good on a map.
Yes.
Even if it wasn't so practical in real life.
Yeah. But then that makes you wonder, is it even possible to have both?
That's the question, right?
Can you have a city that's both beautiful and functional?
It's the million-dollar question.
Yeah, or are those two things just fundamentally at odds?
It's a question that planners have been wrestling with forever.
Right.
And, we see this tension play out in so many cities.
Even the ones that are famously beautiful.
Even the ones that are held up as masterpieces of urban design.
Yeah.
Think about Paris.
Okay, yeah. Paris is beautiful.
With those wide boulevards, the iconic monuments.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a postcard, right?
Yeah.
But even Paris has its issues.
Oh, definitely.
Traffic, social inequality.
Right.
It's not perfect.
And I think it's interesting what you said about the boulevards because they are beautiful.
They are stunning.
But they were created by plowing through existing neighborhoods.
Yeah.
So again, progress comes at a cost.
It always does.
But okay, so we're talking about all these historical examples.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any universal truths when it comes to city planning?
I think one thing that's clear is that a city is never really finished.
Okay, what do you mean by that?
I mean, it's constantly changing, it's evolving,
Right.
and planners have to be willing to adapt.
Okay.
They can't just, create this one grand plan and then walk away.
Okay, so be flexible.
Yes, exactly. And that brings us to another really interesting aspect of city planning today, and that's big data.
Okay, yeah, we were talking about this earlier.
Yeah, we've got this commentary from Michael Batty.
Big data, smart cities, and city planning.
That's the one. What's he have to say about it?
So big data, what's his take?
Well, he basically says that big data has the potential to completely change how we think about and manage cities.
Okay, in what way?
Well, think about it. We can track traffic patterns in real time now.
Yeah.
We can monitor public transportation usage, down to the minute. We can even measure how many people are walking on a particular street corner.
That's a lot of information.
It is. It's like having X-ray vision for an entire city.
So what are we actually doing with all that information?
Well, one area where it's really making a difference is traffic management.
Okay, yeah, because that's a problem in a lot of cities.
Oh, yeah. But cities can use real-time traffic data to do things like optimize traffic light timing,
Okay.
adjust traffic flow patterns, even give drivers personalized route guidance.
Oh, wow.
And it's all aimed at reducing congestion, making commutes faster and less stressful.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
Right. I mean, who hasn't been stuck in traffic and just wish they could, wave a magic wand and make it disappear.
Right, or like, an app or something.
Exactly.
So it's not just traffic, right? What else can we use this data for?
Oh, it's definitely not just traffic.
Mhm.
Cities are using it to improve public transportation, um, make waste management more efficient. They're even using it to track how diseases spread.
Wow. Okay.
It's really changing how we manage resources in cities, making everything more efficient and effective.
So it's a lot of good, but is there a downside to all this data? Like, is it possible to have too much?
That's a good question. And Batty actually talks about that in his commentary.
Okay.
He says we have to be careful not to become too reliant on this short-term data.
Okay.
Like we get so caught up in the details that we lose sight of the big picture.
Right. It's about finding that balance, right?
Exactly.
Data can be incredibly powerful, but it's just a tool.
It's up to us to use it wisely, ethically, and we always have to keep the long-term vision in mind.
I like that. So we've talked about data, we've talked about history, we've talked about all these really big ideas. It can feel a little overwhelming, honestly, especially if you're just one person.
It can.
So, like, what can we do with all this? What's the takeaway for the average person?
I think the most important thing is to be aware. Just be aware of the forces that have shaped your city, both past and present. Pay attention to how data is being used to make decisions. Don't be afraid to ask questions.
So be informed.
Be informed, be engaged, and maybe be a little skeptical.
I like it.
City planning, it's a participatory process. The more people who are paying attention, asking questions, making their voices heard, the better the outcomes are going to be.
That's actually really empowering. It's not just these big institutions or these fancy algorithms. It's about people coming together and actually shaping the future of the places where they live.
Exactly.
And that's what makes this whole topic so fascinating. Cities are messy. They're these giant collaborative projects, always evolving.
Always.
And if we can understand how they work, how they've evolved, what challenges they face, then we can actually make them better.
Absolutely. We can make them healthier, more sustainable, more equitable for everyone.
I love that. That's a great call to action for all of us city dwellers out there.
It is.
So next time you're walking down the street, just like take a look around. Notice the buildings, the parks. Think about the decisions that led to that design and if it's actually working for the people who live and work there.
Yes. And if it's not working, do something about it. Go to a city council meeting, talk to your neighbors, connect with organizations that are working on these issues, make your voice heard.
Because ultimately, cities are shaped by the people who live in them. And on that note, that's a wrap on today's deep dive into building healthier cities. We've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
From the latest scientific research to cautionary tales from history to the mind-blowing possibilities of big data.
It's a lot to think about.
But most importantly, I hope this deep dive has left you feeling more informed, more engaged, and more empowered to create positive change in your own community. Until next time, keep those questions coming. And remember, a city is never truly finished. It's an ongoing project, so let's keep building.